This is Abe Freetanzer from Awards Watch, and I'm thrilled to be speaking with Ben Proudfoot, the director of The Queen of Basketball, which earned him his second consecutive Oscar nomination in the Best Documentary Short category. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you for having me, Abe.
What appealed to you about Lucy's story, and when did you first discover it?
I first discovered it, it was like maybe June 2020. Haley Watson, who's a cinematographer and director and colleague of mine, knew that I was particularly interested in stories where there was a big gap between the significance of somebody's life and how many people knew about them. And so when she read about Lucy, she said, Ben, Google this name, Lucy Harris. And I did. And I'm not a basketball fan, but when I read this list of superlatives, first and only woman officially drafted into the NBA, led her tiny Mississippi Delta college to 3 national championships, first woman to score a basket in the Olympics, first woman of color to be enshrined in the Basketball Hall of Fame. And then this huge continental shelf of information after the late 70s, basically, I was just like, what happened? What happened? Why, and why is there no documentary about Lucy Harris? Why don't I know about her? Why isn't her face on our money? I mean, it just seems like she was such a singularly accomplished person. And, as a documentary filmmakers will know, like when you get that sort of that tug towards a story, you just have to follow it. And so I called Lucy, and she was very casual and said, yeah, come on over. I've got a story to tell. And we did, and she did.
That's great. And I know that sadly Lucy passed away very recently. What was her excitement level like? I know that the film got on the short list before she died, but what do you think she would have felt about this achievement now?
It's really hard to think about that because I so wish that she would have seen it. I know she was really tickled by the whole experience. She wasn't a boastful person. She would say stuff like, when we got the short list, she would say stuff like, oh, that's pretty neat. She was also very accomplished, right? Like, I think the release of the film gave her a lot of joy. I think the recognition associated with the film's release, and then the excitement of the Academy recognizing it, was really something special to her. That was also way beyond her community in Mississippi, right? So a national, international recognition, and I think she felt special, as she should. I just wish that she had seen what happened last week, but it is both wonderful, but also just tragic that she had passed away only, 3 weeks before.
Absolutely. And you said you're not a fan of basketball, but I assume getting Shaquille O'Neal on board as an executive producer is something that excites even you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Nova Scotia in Canada. I'm a nerd. I'm a filmmaking nerd, right? That's who I am. And, Shaq has just been, he has been so pure of heart in this. He just watched it and he said, people have to know the story. He's behind her and her story. And that's really what we've seen with this project, is just people saying, people have to know the story, people have to get behind it. And I think the thing Shaq brings, on top of his huge, audience of people that he can help bring the film to, he also brings a lot of credibility as one of the most dominant players of all time, to say, Lucy is great, Lucy's a GOAT. And that, I think, helps people, turn their heads and say, what is the story all about? And click it and watch the link, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to make Lucy famous as Shaq. And just to have him, I mean, it's bold and brave of him to go out there and say, how unfair it is, the pay disparity between what WNBA players make and NBA players make. And it's time to have that conversation. And for someone like Shaq to do that is a big deal. And so I'm honored to be working with him. He's such a generous, kind-hearted guy, and has just been, I know it's meant a lot to the family too, to have him on our side, in our team.
That's really great. And fortunately, this film, The Queen of Basketball, is available to watch on YouTube via the New York Times. So I encourage everyone watching this interview to do that. And Ben, thank you so much for making this film and for telling Lucy's story and for taking the time to speak with me today.
Of course. Thank you so much for helping get the word out about Lucy Harris.